Welcome everybody to the Daily Intimacy. Nice to see you this morning, Tuesday, October. It's really hard to remember dates on these things. I think it's October 6th. Anyway, really nice to see everybody here. I would like to begin with a centering. So welcome wherever you are, however you are. I always say you're welcome however you are. If you're lying in bed, if you're, taking a walk, if you're sitting in your kitchen having breakfast, wherever you are and however you are is completely welcome here. And let's pause for a moment and center before we begin. So just invite you to have a breath and gently close your eyes. The beautiful thing about being in this virtual land is that you can make sound. You can turn your video off and do something, really awkward or uncomfortable with your body, and none of us will know. So in this moment, I'd like you to make some sound on the exhale. So again, staying with yourself, eyes closed if that works for you. Nice deep breath into the belly, all the way down to the root chakra. Let's do that again. This time you can open your mouth, relax your jaw. It can look really weird to open your mouth, and that's okay. So just staying with yourself for just a few moments here. I invite you to tune into your body and at the same time to tune into the earth. To bring your attention to her. Perhaps you're noticing the air around you, whether it's cool or warm, wherever you are. Let's sort of begin to awaken all of the senses. Feeling the cool or the warmth on your skin. Maybe there's some smells that are familiar to you this morning that we stop recognizing because they're so familiar in our own homes. So maybe as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, you might pick up on something this morning that awakens the sense of smell. Imagine yourself with your feet right on the earth, barefoot. Our place of ground and healing, and also the healing work we're doing in the planet right now. We send to the earth always. It's such a deep need right now. Just take a moment to tune in and feel what's present for you. As you awaken yourself and become more and more aware and conscious of your surroundings, inner and outer, this morning. And now I invite you to have another deep breath. Exhale. And gently open your eyes and come on back. I always invite people to scroll on their screen, take a look and see who's here with you. And if you don't have your video on, I just would love for you to have your video on. And, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in front of it or if you're walking around or just woke up. It's just really, really nice to see you or see your environment. So thank you for considering. Robert's waving. That's great. Hi. However you are, eating your breakfast, whatever. Even if you're taking a nap, because you're still receiving, even if you're still kind of half asleep. So I'm so excited. I'm so happy to have Ray and Nina Crist coming from Costa Rica. Yeah, good, you got it.
Thank you, Robyn, for
You're
having
so
us.
welcome. I met Ray. I said this briefly in the email I sent out, but a couple of years ago, I was at Kripalu, which is a place I have spent lots and lots of time over 30 years. And I had nothing to do one morning or nothing. I was just like walking around and I was like, what should I do? And I was like, my friend was like, let's go here. And I was like, nah, I'm going to go to this thing. I don't remember what it was called, but I walked in and Ray was teaching, getting ready to teach. And I had such a powerful experience working with energy that morning. And I think I was leaving that day. And I don't know if I told you the story, Ray, but maybe I did. But I was driving home. I was thinking about how powerful it was. I was like, really drawn into the energy and the stories that Ray told and his warmth and everything. And I was driving home and I was like driving through Lenox, Massachusetts. And I was driving really slowly through the town center. And I looked at my phone and it said Ray on my phone, like it was somebody's Wi-Fi, and my phone was picking it up and it said like Ray because it wanted me to like join that Wi-Fi. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, universe, thank you. And so
we're going to Wi-Fi now. We're all now we're connected.
Right. Anyway, that was a handful of years ago, but
that was more than 5 years ago, not 2 years ago, Robyn.
Really? It was, oh my God. Wow. Anyway, it was an incredible connection and lots of healing. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I love the synchronicities of life that brought us together. And so nice to meet you too, Nina, now like more directly. Yeah.
Thank you, Robyn. We're honored.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to you to say, I don't want to read your bio. So I would love you to just introduce yourselves and
I'll go for it
and share.
Well, welcome everybody. Good morning. I'm Ray. My name is Ray Crist. As Robyn said, part of the last 15 years I've been teaching at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health and traveling around the world teaching, offering retreats, yoga and sailing trips in the Greek islands and the Virgin Islands, and retreats to Peru working with the shamans, and here in Costa Rica where we now live, offering retreats on what we call the Greek. I am originally from Greece, and we offer here what we call FZine, an optimal living program. Nina and I love traveling together and working together, and I'll let you introduce yourself also before I continue.
All right, thank you. So yeah, I'm Nina Crist. Ray and I actually just got married last February. We arrived in Costa Rica. We decided, let's go to Costa Rica. We actually saw a live Jaguar the first time we came here together. And we felt like, okay, spirit is guiding us. So yeah, so we came to get married. We ran a retreat, and then then all that's happened happened, and we decided, you know what, let's stay put. We're in a blue zone, so we're here in Costa Rica. My background, I have a very deep practice of martial arts, and so I was invited to teach at Kripalu to offer a Kung Fu yoga and a Tai Chi Qigong variation of yoga. So that's how Ray and I met. I came as a visiting teacher. Our paths crossed immediately, and that we haven't stopped talking. So great.
So great.
Yeah, and so we are weaving. So we weave our teachings together, and we're going to share today how these ancient practices can support each one of us as we walk through this journey of life, and how to transform, redirect, and utilize energy as it comes at us in life in whatever form it arrives. So we're really, really happy to be here this morning with you. Thank you, Robyn, for inviting us. And yeah.
You're so welcome.
I feel in some ways that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robyn, I think we're really talking about resiliency, right? That how can I come back if I've taken a hit in life? And that hit could be either I had a small argument with someone, or someone all of a sudden in a hallway or in a queue was rude to us, and we felt a little bit insulted, or something that was like a sort of violation of kindness, or politeness, all the way to I've gotten a blow because I've gone through a divorce, or I've lost my job, or I've had loss of a beloved person.
Yes, but before we go there, could you say more about like shamanism and a little bit about your background, Ray?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My background in shamanism started in 2003 when I was diagnosed with the 4th-stage cancer. I was given 3 months to live, and I decided that instead of immediately going down the Western avenue of 4 to 5 surgeries that were suggested to me, and it would probably not be enough for basically what the doctor said is they found it way too late. So that moved me into where I needed to be, which was my, as a young man in my early 20s, I always aspired to the shamans, the sorcerers, the mystical, and had come to a realization that there is life as we know it, but there's a greater life behind it. What holds up our reality, the metaphysics, as was really a commonly used word back in the 90s. And so I started working with shamans throughout Mexico and through Peru, but Peru is where really I found family, and I found teachers that are now our family, the part of our family. We've lived with them down in Peru. They've lived with us up in the States. You could say a different life than I used to live, living with shamans from the Andes and having a more part of our ordinary life, to have fire ceremony in our backyard, to offer thanks with different ceremonies, Quero, Peruvian ceremonies, offering thanks to Mother Earth, and living a life closer, learning how to live a life closer to nature. And that's one of the things that we've found in common. And like Nina says, our conversation has just barely started. We keep on talking, and the subjects are immense. The 3 ancient ones, yoga, shamanism, and martial arts, are the 3 technologies that were given to us, I want to say, almost prehistorically. Right, coming from 7,000 to 20,000 years back, you'll find these 3 arts that were before politics, before religion, before the organized, or before the way we organize our minds and the setup of how we do communities, societies, and cities. So these 3 talk about what it means to be human, what it means to be a part of the human species, what our neurology is about, what is our endocrinology about, what is the physiology and the psychology, if you want, of a human being, and what does it mean to interact with life? But then it feels like when I got 18, 19, that I was really interested in all that, but then I became 18, 19, and the whole life of the city caught my attention. And there we go. I got my motorcycle. I went to a restaurant. I went to a bar, and then I was really infatuated with that life. And then I had to return to it years later when I was diagnosed. And then really, I feel deep gratitude to that difficult time that I had, because that difficult time of knowing that I will die, because the doctor said so, because the doctors at big hospitals said so, it really made me reevaluate everything. Actually, everything fell apart. I fell apart. And I rebuilt it with the help of the shamans. And I rebuilt it by what I realize now, looking back 17 years back into this journey, is that I restructured the information in my head and how I think and how I view the world, how I think about others and how I view others, how, even more importantly, I relate with others. I feel that the biggest thing for me was the fact that I was hurt coming out of a really difficult divorce. I was hurt because economically I was not doing well at all. I had gone through bankruptcy, and then the cherry on the top was that I was diagnosed with cancer. So you could say my life was falling apart in every possible way. And now I can laugh about it. Thank you, Robyn, for your. Sometimes I feel, and this is what we realize and talk about as shamans. So life dealt me a huge amount of energy. It was like almost I was just like having my life, everything was great. And then the doctor said, here, hold this for a moment. And they gave me 100 megabytes of energy to deal with. What I've realized is that through these arts and deepening into shamanism and the practical shamanic work, is that what you do is you take that amount of energy and you actually use it as a inspiration, motivation, and fuel to change life, to heal and change.
And I want to just say to that, the prognosis of you have 90 days to live, take care of your affairs, gives you a direction of where that energy is supposed to go. Take care of your affairs. And to rise above that, and I think that's what we'll talk about as we dive into the teachings more, but to be able to rise above that and say, you know what, I'm going to use that energy and I'm going to steer it in a different direction. And that guidance from your teachers, that's invaluable. And I think that's where our passion is, to make sure everyone knows that that is an option, and it is accessible. And I love Michael put a question in saying, define shamanism as you understand it. And do you want to take that one?
Absolutely. But I'm going to just say, first of all, the martial artists said that you redirect energy. So as an opponent is coming towards you, you don't have to confront it straight head on, especially saying that you're a woman and you're dealing with someone very big and they're coming at you. If you go straight on, or with fourth stage cancer, you can't go straight on. You need technique. You need to redirect things. So I'll take that as a segue to what shamanism is.
Yeah.
Do we have 8 hours? Okay. I'll start, everybody. Get something.
Seriously, I'm like, are we here all day?
I want to quickly say that historically, first of all, just these things that I found out, because for me 20 years ago, shamanism was just a deep mystery. And I thought that shamans were men and women of some metaphysical power, outer worldly power that could do magic. And in some ways that is true, but in many ways we all are that. We all do magic. Everything we do in life, and we've done, from making our home to our work to our relationships, there's a lot of magic involved. But I'm going to say that the word shaman itself comes from the Tungusic language, a language of Eastern Russia, a small place of Eastern Russia, and it means the knower. He or she who knows, the knower. So imagine going back 10,000 and 15,000 years ago, the first shamans appear 15,000 years plus, but in that region. And so someone broke their hand and they're like, what am I going to do? My arm hurts. And everyone in panic says, well, go to the one who knows. Go to the one who knows. A woman would be pregnant or having a very difficult labor. They would be like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Go to the one who knows. Right? Go to the shaman. Go to the shaman. Not only were they in orthopedics, or they were doulas, but also sometimes youngsters in the tribe would like eat all the ripened fruit from the floor of the forest, and the fermenting and have alcohol. The youngster would get drunk and create a ruckus. So the next day the shaman would say, come over here, let's sit down, tell me why you want to not fit in this. So we had the first psychologists and psychotherapists right there also. The shamans were the ones that lit the first fires, because they realized that if we gather together in a group like we're doing today and we light a fire, then we are all becoming a member of something bigger. Rather than feeling alone and maybe lost or maybe insecure, we're becoming a part of something bigger, so we're more likely to survive the night. Because remember, 15,000 years ago, the bigger predators were roaming and we did not have houses. So as the fire is lit, the shaman, in order to make sure that everyone would stay around the fire all night so they could survive, the shamans started saying stories. So they're the storytellers. And they also started noticing that people would be moving while they were telling the story. They would see some of the people would move or lean in more. So they started appointing roles to people. They say, you could be the jaguar, you could be the deer, you guys over there can be the clouds passing above. So they begin to give metaphor, and they begin to essentially create theater. And theater is a revolutionary moment of our species, leap of intellectual presence and coming. Because once we understood theater, we understood metaphor. And when we got metaphor and symbolism, again, that was a quantum leap of how we thought and how we act in the world. Not everything was just eat, stay safe, be present, be here to survive, but rather things started having a bigger depth. And through theater, we give birth to religion. So shamans are the leaders. A shaman, even till today, is the man or woman in a tribe or a village who is a little bit above the collective consciousness in the wavelength and knows how to keep steady, knows how to be in connection, I want to say, with nature all the time. Yeah. And has practices that allow him or her to stay and remain balanced and in center, where that place is that place where we can remain with a clarity of mind, moving with discernment, and above all these three ancient arts, shamanism, yoga, and martial arts, play the role of allowing us these practices that can keep us in the front of our body. And what I mean about that is that our electricity can move in different places in our body, and depending on where the electricity is at, that's how we behave. So the front of the body, the prefrontal cortex and the heart, is where we want to live, with compassion, with love, with openness, with trust, with power. But what happens is when we get in fight or flight, when we're not in front of that fire and all of a sudden we're alone and there's any threat, the electricity moves to the back, to the adrenals and to the amygdala. And I think that's where the trouble starts for us.
And one of the things that really attracted me to shamanism, all of what Ray just shared, but the ceremony, the time to come together in ceremony and kind of stepping outside of that fast moving current of life and saying, you know what, I'm going to take a moment to step outside of all that's happening with my family, my life, my work, and all of these things that I'm kind of holding or maybe even juggling. And I'm going to step into ceremony. I'm going to put something nice on. I'm going to sit in reverence, and I'm going to kind of put something else above my needs, my wants, where my attention has been. And that shift of attention is extremely powerful, because when we're able to step outside of that intense energy that's just kind of got us captivated, when we're able to step outside of that and sit with like-minded people and tap into something that's ancient, the power and the medicine and the healing that allows for is, I feel that is true magic. Yeah.
It is magic. And talking about ceremony, I feel that is, yes, the most important thing. One of the things that happened through the Industrial Revolution and the Technological Revolution, where we are all in the center of, this living in the Western world, is that as we began to make the cities, or I'll fast forward and say after the Middle Ages and during the Middle Ages, I need to start from there because it's a big turning point in the history of the Western men and women of Europe and the States. In the Middle Ages, there was three things that were persecuted, and that was animals, women, and magic. Those three things were persecuted in many ways. So animals were considered beasts and they were put to work, or we would have them for food. That communication with animals was weird to have. These are the beasts and we're human. We separated ourselves as civilization came along. Women were demoted and of course didn't vote, didn't do this or that, etc. The feminine energy, Gaia, Mother Earth energy, was demoted along with the women of the world. And of course, magic, as we all know and see sometimes in humorous films, and then sometimes not that humorous, tragic also, is that magic was really, really persecuted. People would put to the pyre. People were burnt, and they should not have anything to do with magic. So that changed our personalities, that changed our reality, and then add to that then we started living in cities, which took us a little bit further away from nature itself, from being able to see the moon and feel her cycles, from being able to be in the water and wash away things that hurt us, being able we've been taken away from being able to light a fire when we wanted to make a big transition. So these ceremonies, like Nina calls, says, it is so important that because we miss these ceremonies. We have very few, but these big ones, and that's what I find shamanism is all that, a direct relationship to earth, a deep, profound love and respect to the feminine, and an understanding that we are not the only species on the planet, although that's where we're headed. That's not where we should be, because we are just a part of a bigger diversity. If we lose the diversity, which is what is happening, we lose, first of all, our reality, and then afterwards, the possibility to make this a viable planet to live in. Mosquitoes to jaguars to giraffes to rhinos to elephants, they all play a big role. I want to say the part of shamanism also, and I'll pause and give it to you also, is like working with animals and understanding that if I look at an animal and it's in the wild, I can start learning from it, how it behaves, what it does, how it mates, how it nests, how it eats, how it hunts. All these things are information that can really allow me to absorb in myself and allow me thus to be able to think out of the box that I may be in. And doing work with power animals has been a revolution in my life, because now I can tell you for sure, is like, I don't go anywhere without my Jaguar. And I want to add to this, to say to this, because I went through various leaps of understanding, trusting, believing. I'm a skeptic, and I encourage everyone to always be a skeptic. I have to understand it to believe it. I have to be able to apply it and see it work to believe it. And I encourage everyone to always be like that. We don't believe in magic or blindly have faith without seeing how things work. So just as a small example, I'm going to say, imagine yourself going into an interview and you have two scenarios. One is you can go alone with a folder, with a file, with your bio, or the other scenario is you walk into this office for the interview with your bio on one hand and the Jaguar on the other hand. And while you're doing the interview, the Jaguar is pacing around the desk behind the person giving the interview and you. And the moment the person asks you a weird question, why were you fired here in 1987 from this job? Your Jaguar leaps on the desk and it's just looming over. So I'm going to ask you if you feel, you can raise your hand if you feel that there's going to be a difference in the outcome of that interview. Let me see who thinks that you'll be more powerful and you'll have better outcome. Yeah. Walking with animals allows us a strength, and what happened is that while we pushed away the shamans and the storytellers and the fire and the power animals, we really never did, because we all go to the movies and the shaman is a director and the fire is that fire that projects the movie, and we're all in awe. We'll all cry or laugh. We'll be moved by the protagonist. A really good movie can change things in your life. And at the same time, well, we took away the totems and the power animals. We don't talk about that. That's been persecuted. Yet I hardly know any city in the world that doesn't have a zoo, because that's where our totem is. And that's where we get to go and see them again. And if you've had kids or not, or when you were a kid, I think we all feel the same way. When we're in the presence of animals, there is something that happens to us. There's an awe, a sensation of awe that awakens something really deep in us. And that's what shamanism is, awakening the awe and finding your power. Even that you can make it Jaguar power, you can make it owl power, you can make it dragon power, you can make it anything that you want. And it allows you to step out of a place of fear. And that is the only place that healing can take place, because essentially that is what we're always healing.
The parallel, the crossroads of the martial arts and the shamanism, as Ray was just speaking of, is you've seen movies or possibly taken martial arts yourself. And martial arts was derived from studying nature, the elements, fire, water, earth, right? So there's a kids show called The Avatar, The Last Airbender, where they connect with the elements. Awesome, right? If you haven't seen it, find a kid or not and sit down and enjoy. Kung Fu Panda, right? So we have these different styles that Eagle Claw, the monkey style Kung Fu. And we've got a group of monkeys making a bunch of ruckus behind us. I don't know if you can hear.
They're nearing.
But it was to emanate nature, and it wasn't about just pretending to become the monkey or pretending to become the tiger. It was literally watching that animal, how they protect their young, how they keep themselves safe, and then taking that energy within and basically having that in your endocrine system. So that chemistry, you can transform your reality and start to emanate that particular animal or element. And when we kind of become and start to move and breathe and even make sounds where we can feel into that connection, then we're changing the chemistry. And all of a sudden we've stepped out of whatever that deposit, that big gift of energy was, whether it was sadness, fear, frustration, anger, whatever that was, and say, you know what, I'm going to transform that. And I'm going to step into this other energy. And that's what's really cool about, I think, you know, our Jaguar yoga, where we bring in the animals of the Incan trilogy, so that we can really connect with the medicine of each of the animals in the yoga practice, where you start to transform what's going on when you start the practice. By the end of that hour practice, it's like, okay, not only have you connected with this movement of nature, but you start to know what meridians are opened with each posture and what emotions are related to that particular meridian. What organ is that connected to? What are you shifting and how? And so one of the things that I really love about the training that we offer is it's not only that you're experiencing, that you're getting a guided experience, but you're kind of like going behind the scenes and learning, okay, what is going on? Why do I feel so great after this practice? Or why do I feel so uncomfortable when I do this posture? Every time I do this posture, I get agitated. And then you start to look, it's like, oh, I've got a lot of anger, and releasing that's a little uncomfortable. When I get to the other side, I feel great. But there's that. So in the shift, in that process of going from point A to point B, it's like, what's happening? What comes up? Where's that point of resistance? And how do I overcome that to get to the other side? And today we wanted to share a little practice.
Kind of the perfect lead in. Yeah, I was going to say, from looking at patterns and how they shift, shift.
I think sharing a tool today, give a gift of a shamanic tool.
Cord cutting?
Cord cutting. Do you want to talk a little bit about, talking about symbiotic and parasitic relationships and how the cord cutting, this particular tool that we want to share today, can really support you. And a lot of times we kind of prep this tool by offering a guided journey where we can rise above and kind of take a condor's view and kind of look down at life and say, okay, when I look down, who are those people in my life that are just straight up allies? Every time I spend time with them, I leave energized. I feel inspired. I feel confident. I feel motivated. I just feel magnetism. I want to spend more time with them. And then you think it for a moment and you look down and kind of scan your life's landscape and say, wait a second, whenever I walk into the office and that particular person is there, or I'm in a meeting and that particular person always chimes in, and I feel just deflated. And I feel like I had this great idea and now I just, never mind, right? Never mind. And it's like, you kind of just, And so we look to nature and see how in nature there are relationships of, you think of the vines that are kind of choking out those beautiful trees. And you see that the vines are living, drawing energy off of another species to survive. And those parasitic relationships show up in our lives as well. There's people in our lives that literally draw on that energy to lift themselves up. And so when we start to scan life and the relationships we hold, whether they're personal and close to us, whether they're in the family or at the workplace, or even just at the grocery store, or, you know, that crossing guard, wherever it lies, it's like feeling into, okay, who lifts me up and who do I feel is drawing from me? And I need to kind of establish more of a boundary and give myself the permission to keep my own energy and allow them to keep their own energy, so that we can walk with our own alignment, with our own center. And so there's this beautiful tool that we're gonna share with you today called cord cutting. And this particular tool is a really beautiful way to step into ceremony, to step into a place of becoming a witness for someone else, a friend or ally, and to allow someone to be a witness for ourselves, to release anyone that we feel may be holding us back. And this may be someone from way back, and you could even think, wait a second, there's someone from school that every time I think of them, I just get that same sensation comes flooding back in. It's just like, oh, so-and-so from school or from college or a past relationship, where it's just like kind of still holding you back or feeling like it's informing your relationships moving forward. Yeah, go for it. I can.
Cord cutting is a major tool, and I think it's just going to the metaphysics of it to understand it and the shamanic way of viewing the world. The shamans know that we live in a matrix of energy. And again, I'm not going to take it. What I like to bring is the understanding of the mechanisms of all this magic, so we understand it on a practical level. And one of the things that Einstein talked about is that we're living in a space that is essentially a matrix. And the word he coined, the phrase he coined was unified field. So we all live in a unified field. Do we have a couple scientists on board? I think we do. I see a couple smiles there. So there's two big forces on the planet, the gravity and the electromagnetic field of the planet. And those two interact, and the interaction, have you seen like iron filings under, when you put a magnet under, and how it creates that egg-shaped luminous magnetic field? That interacts again with gravity. Gravity pulls it down. Gravity and the electromagnetic field are different in different spots, the different intensity, shape, direction. And I'm not going to get too geeky. I'm going to say that that's where we live in. And at the same time, we're electromagnetic beings. We're electric beings, electrochemical beings. We have our chemicals, our hormones that we're feeling, emotions. I'm in love, I'm happy, or I'm sad, I'm angry. All these things are electrical. When I'm angry, you see how you shake? That's excess charge, excess electricity, right? We are very mechanical beings also, as much as spiritual. So when we're in a relationship, the nice thing and the beauty is like, oh, we're cocooning, we're coming closer to each other, right? And we all like the closeness. And what happens is we begin to create a cord that is an open line communication. But as Nina was saying earlier, not all of our relationships are there, or we're intimate, or they're not present. And when I look back, maybe I've been through a divorce that was difficult, a relationship that I had to let go of that left me with let me say this, if you're going to try it, and I invite you to try it after you see it, and is to look back and see, like Nina said, when I think back to an older relationship and I feel I have a bad taste in my mouth, I was like angry about it, or really sad, or flustered, or baffled. So what happens is I left that relationship, that energy cord was like, it's almost like something is tugging on me, and I'm leaving the relationship, but it's pulling on me. Years later, after the divorce, I'm trying to be in a new relationship, but that was still pulling on me. So it's really dictating my way of thinking. It's actually skewing my luminous field in that old way, in that creating and triggering old patterns. When I cut that cord, I can straighten up again and come to my alignment in the present moment. And then when I look back at that, once I've done this physical practice of cutting the cords, it is amazing. And what I love with all these tools that we teach is that they're accelerated healing. I've had people come into my office that they've been working on their divorce and how difficult that was, and the whole spectrum of anger, sadness, devastation. And they've been working on it for 5-10 years, either in therapy or this or that, but it still has a hold on them. It still really defines their life. And the cord cutting in the 5 minutes is shifted, and it's shifted forever. And you can look back and say, okay, well, that's what I learned from that relationship. That's what I'm not going to repeat. That's what allows you, again, like I said, to come back up to Condor and have a freer and more open view of what your life is. So cord cutting allows us to disconnect with energies that you feel negative, that feel hold you down, hold you back. And when we do that, we do that lovingly. We will use the phrase, as you learn, the phrase, I set you free, which means I'm setting this person free. I'm not sending any other negative thoughts if I've been living in negative thoughts. And as I set that person free, I'm setting myself free also. And then I'm really energetically also separating ways so I can live my own karma and my own dharma. I can live my own life without that. And I can put that in the place of, you know, that's what happened when I was young, and it's okay. And that's past, and now it's a part of me and what I've learned from it, so I can be in a different in my life, so I can not come to the same results once again. Would you like to add something, or should we?
I'm tempted to, but I think let's go for it. Let's get into the.
Yes, I think given the time, let's go for it.
I have here in my hands a cord cutting knife, which is a petrified piece of wood that we just found on the beach a week ago. A lot of times in our school, we use shamanic, we use Peruvian cord cutting knives, but we could use our hand. Nina, as a martial artist, teaches how to use the hand as a sword.
Shudo.
It's called the shudo. Today we're going to use this. So I invite you, I'll go slow motion if you'd like to take some notes, and also we'll send something along. Yeah. And it's recording, so. All right, so first of all,
people could join you too, like sort of follow along if they want.
Yes, you can stand up, see it. It's something that you will need to pair up with someone to do.
I see.
But standing up and practicing it, feeling it helps you, go for it, or else again, we can maybe send a couple of notes for it. All right.
While they're setting up, I'll just say that if you stand up and participate, you can become aware of which chords and what needs to be, and then you can pair up and do that with somebody later.
So thanks for saying that, Robyn. So I'm going to ask Nina if there's someone she wants to cut cords with. And she has to tell me the name. So if you're standing up, you can follow us, and then when I say, what is this person's name, say that name aloud. When I'm cutting the cord, say, so-and-so, I set you free. Does that make sense? It's very simple, as you will follow. So let's start with that. First of all, I'm going to say, hey, welcome.
Hi.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Do you have someone that you want to cut cords with?
Yes, I would like to cut cords with Marty today.
Cut cords with Marty. Okay. So here's one of the shamanic elements that it's really important to name the person, right? Because the moment she brings up Marty, and I think this is fictionist, I think it's fiction, but who's Marty? The moment you bring up the name, what happens is you're bringing up the chemistry of the sensations that this person has caused you. Or if you hear the name in a movie, or you see it written somewhere, that is alive in you because that trigger or that cord is there. That cord is pulling a trigger and is creating an emotional imbalance. So first things first, welcome. What I want you to do is close your eyes and to a circle around yourself, a 360, and stop at the direction that you're feeling Marty pulling you. Yep. And actually, this will be 3/4. All right, so I invite you to remember that. First, you want to feel that you're turning, and it's amazing because that's where we're all shamans. We have a clear sensation of where that pull is from. So now what I'm going to do is Nina's energy field springs out from the crown of the head, comes all the way out about 3 feet in front of her, right? Like the earth has its magnetic field, we each individually have our own electromagnetic field. So I don't want to cut the cord too close to her body because she's doing all these practices of yoga, shamanism, and martial arts to build up this energy. So she has a big field. So I don't want to cut in her field, but right outside her field, where that cord is moving away, that's where I'm going to cut. And think of the cord as a big, like, elastic band or a fiber optic connection cord that transmits information from one person to another. So I'm going to go right in front of her, square in front of her, 3 feet away. And I'm going to say, Nina, when you're ready, please say, Marty, I set you free.
Marty, I set you free.
And then I'm going to come to her side. So I'm creating a box straight in front of her, straight to the side. When you're ready, say it again.
Marty, I set you free.
Then I'm going to go to the side right behind her, again, creating the back side of the box.
Marty, I set you free.
And the other side of the box.
Marty, I set you free.
And then I would like you to say that while you take one step over my knife.
Marty, I set you free.
And then one last one.
Marty, I set you free.
Wonderful. And then if you could turn facing me. So notice I created a box, the bottom and the top. So anywhere that cord was coming in from, there was no way I missed it. And now I want to just scan the body. And here's when we get into the training where you get into learning how to see energy. And I'll say, bring out your hands. And I'm just going to do like a little shaving of energy because I'm feeling something here. And especially when we're talking about previous relationships and embraces, I'm going to clear that out a little bit. And then I'm going to scan the body. And here's one of the things we teach is like, trust that you know. Trust that we know. We all know. We all feel energy. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this. It's almost like, oh, this is telling me there might have been some backstabbing from this person. There's a connection, some leftovers here. And that's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to rattle a little bit. Rattling allows for the luminous field energy to shift. Like, have you heard the expression, I feel, is it rattled? Is there an expression that I was rattled? When you're like, you shake up the energy, you change it. So I cut the cords when she was bringing it up. I have her say it out loud. And there's one thing that I should not forget to say. You can say my sister, my brother, you can say my beloved wife. You walk free.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
So I'm going to open it to questions, but I want to say also that the element, one of the things that I've discovered is that in many ways, it touches the world of our psychology. Right? Carl Jung took a lot of the work of the shamans of Africa and brought it back into his office. And he talks about this work being called, he says, it's uncommon sense. And he says it's better than common sense. It's higher than uncommon sense. So as we essentially cut cords, we're more able to find our center. And thus from our center, we're more able to create a symmetric and expansive luminous field. And when we do this, we have more capability and ability to really connect, engage with life even more, to really engage in life. And that will give us the opportunity to, when I engage, I can make things happen. Because if I can engage, if I have cords here, if I have some trauma there, if I have this and this and that, I am so preoccupied inside myself that I'm unable to do something in the world that will happen. It's almost like a struggle. Things seem very far away and very difficult.
And I just want to add to that. There's also, in life, how these beautiful coincidences arise or synchronistic things will happen. When we're being pulled or we're kind of being pulled off our center with that cord, it's almost like we miss those opportunities. We miss that beauty. We miss the chance to sync up with this new opportunity, maybe a new job, new friendship, something that could just shift your destiny line a small degree that will make a world of difference as you move forward through the years. And I think that's one of the most powerful parts of this is kind of awakening all parts of yourself. And for me as a woman, it was like, hey, wait a second, I have permission to step into my full power. I have permission. And it's actually not only for myself, for all the people around me, I can be even more of a light, even more of an inspiration when I have all of my energy to put into what I love, into my passion, into what makes me happy. That ripples out, right? So as Ray was cutting the cord, I want to just say on my end, the shift I had in my body was really palpable. And And when I'm feeling that shift, I can just say, oh, I feel this or I feel that. Wow, I feel lighter. I feel almost giggly. I have this surge of energy bubbling back up. And when we're sharing the training, I just want to say that we go even deeper to say, okay, why did I have that feeling? What is being balanced as that cord is cut? Where was that drawing? Was it from the kidneys? Was it from the heart? Like, where is that pull? Where is that connection? So as we're introducing this and sharing this tool, this gift, I just want to say that there's this depth. And if you're someone like me that gets bored easily, you will, we've yet to get bored.
Yeah.
There's just so much depth to these practices.
So I'm just going to interject because we have 5 minutes and I see we have some questions.
Oh,
And I wish we had all day because it's so amazing. And we will have lots of time, and at least because I'm participating in the training coming up in November. Emily says, how do we cut cords with something you can't name? It's a good question.
Really good question. And so you can't. And especially with something. So there's a lot of shamanic tools. I've personally been trained for over 50 shamanic tools in all the process of healing cancer, which basically was healing myself, healing wounds, healing, cutting cords, getting my energy back and finding an endocrinological balance in order to not have that acidic environment that led to my cancer. So what I mean by that is the specific tool, cutting cords, it has to be a person that is alive, that they have a physical body, they're still here, because their physical electromagnetic field is moving through the unified field and is affecting your electromagnetic field. So it has to be a person for this tool. I can't cut cords with, oh, my old habit when I used to be a smoker, or when I drank, or I can't cut cords with an idea or an old habit or something a part of myself. Cord cutting is exclusively for relationships with other people. And then if it's something else that we want to let go, it could be fire ceremony, it could be, there is literally dozens of tools, and I've collected 18 that are the most powerful that I felt had the biggest impact on me, which is what we brought to our school. I hope that answers the question. So,
and I think, like, if you're cutting cords with someone and you don't know their name, but you know how you refer to them. So, like, just for example, say you have a relationship with a parent that's just, you want to reset it or you want to shift it. To me, it's like, I'm not going to call my mom by her first name. It's mom. That's who she is to me. Right. And so it's, I wanted to just add that.
That's a good one. And I'll add one more to that. because Nina said cutting cords with her mom, maybe sometimes it's not only an old relationship that left me with a bad taste. Maybe it's a relationship I'm still in and have to be in, like with my mom or with someone I work with. I know I've cut cords with my mom. I have a wonderful mom, a Greek mom, who is very much a mom. Even at 56, my mom sees me as 6. Anyone else ever had that? So at some point, I want to say 3 years ago, it's like Nina said, well, why don't we just cut cords? And I said, it's a wonderful idea. And then we went to visit them, and we hadn't seen them in a month or so. We were in Peru for a while. So when we returned back home to the States, from the door to the dining table, my mom threw at me 16, no, actually it was like 6 specific triggers of how she usually would do. And as I was walking closer and closer to these triggers and the things she would say that used to trigger me, I'm noticing that I'm not triggered. And then by the time I was there, I gave her this huge hug and I said, Mom, I love you so much as you are, because we had cut cords, she wasn't pulling on the triggers. And that gave me the space to also understand what part was me, what were the triggers that I need to take care of, and what was her, which is loving to see because that's just who she is and it's okay. So there's many examples. You can reach out with questions. Robyn is a part of the training, so I think she'll be able also to answer questions to that.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're getting started right on my birthday, November 14th.
Woo! That's why we made it November 14th. There you go.
And we also wanted to, and you'll share this in the follow-up, Robyn, but next week, October 14th, Ray's going to be sharing a free live masterclass that's on the luminous body that's really kind of continues from what we were sharing today. He'll go a little deeper into that next Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're like wanting a little bit more, that's an opportunity to jump in with no cost and connect more with the teachings.
We'll send you the link, Robyn. And
Yeah, send me the link. I saw it, but I don't have it in my notes to send
we'll
out
get it
today,
to you.
so that would be great. What time is that at? Eastern?
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's just an hour, 6 to 7. Yeah.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Yeah, you've been offering a lot of things. I know, Ray, you've been doing a monthly Dharma talk on Monday nights, first Monday of the month. I think are you doing, I can send this all out, but I think, are you doing another 6-week intro, right?
Yes, actually next Wednesday after the free masterclass.
Yeah, okay. Because I've been doing that, a little bit of it, because I don't have time right now. But yeah, there's like a
series,
really affordable 6-week sort of intro to shamanism with these guys. So anyway, lots of opportunities. And I actually would love some of my own community members to join me in the training. That would be so much fun. So anyway, I'll send lots of information out. But wow, I just want to say like a huge thank you for being here with us and sharing all of this deep and wide and incredible wealth of knowledge and experience. And Ray, your healing story is so inspiring. I mean, like beyond inspiring. And I know there's people listening in here that could really use that. And Nina, I love what you said, and you both said it, but the way that you said it was so powerful to me. Like we're handed this energy and we're supposed to direct with, someone said you direct it that way, but to learn how to put it in an aligned place, in a purposeful, enlightened healing direction is like, oh my God, that's such a powerful teaching. That we actually have the capacity for that.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. That was really, really beautiful. I just had to restate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for coming. Just looking at the comments. Nina, could you type in the Facebook page if you have it off the top of your head there in the chat? That would be great. I'll share it too, but yes, there's a Facebook page.
I don't know what
lots of information. I will share information about the course, the masterclass, and the Dharma talks. Yes, for sure. I'll send that out later with the recording. Next week, we have Adam Bauer coming for some kirtan. So I think that's just going to be like juicy and lovely. There'll be storytelling, there'll be music, there'll be chanting. And those of you that know Adam just know that he just brings so much heart and warmth and love. So please join us again next week, of course. And yeah, if you guys have questions, because I'm guessing you do, feel free to reach out to these guys. I think it's Evolve at Jaguar Path, yeah?
Evolve at jaguarpath.com, and the Facebook page is at Jaguar Path. Thank you, Rob, so much for having us over.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for getting up early and being here with us.
Our pleasure.
Love to everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Namaste.
Namaste.
Good to see you all. Good to see you, Andrew.
Feel free to unmute and say goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye. So sweet.
Bye.
So sweet.
Thank you very much.
See you, Andrew.
Yeah, I'll be back in touch. I'll be back in touch. Absolutely.
I will get back to you with your email. We'll keep the conversation. Robyn,
Yeah, it's time to start up again. Very good.
let's sail the world.
That's what we're doing.
I want to go sailing.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes, Emily.
Oh, I haven't gone all season.
We'll have a fleet of boats.
Yay.
That's great.
Nice to meet you guys.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah. Bye,
Namaste.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Robyn.
You're
Have a
welcome.
wonderful day. Robyn will stay in touch.
Yeah, see you soon.